just get into Worlds, but this time they're in the same position. They're skirting around the 3rd place spot. Let's see if they can get better.
Yeah, damn right. We'll see whether they can as we hop into Champion Select. Already, Lysandra and Twisted Fate banned away from Tank, as it is going to be the Tahm Kench as well as Hecarim taken away from Game Talents. A lot of respect given to Savoki there with his frog play, as Malzahar is going to be banned by GT, so not looking to try and grab that for first pick. And the Vladimir is, of course, going to be the answer.
Yeah, this is beautiful so far. I love the fact that they got the Twisted Fate and Lysandra away from Tank. And, of course, the big pick coming into 6.13 is Tahm Kench.
Yeah.
And guess who played Tahm Kench before it was cool?
That's Savoki.
So definitely a good takeaway, especially since this Game Talents is a team that likes to flex picks. And you can pick that up in the top lane, you can take it down support, and they are a team that they'll take those picks and they'll say, hey, you know what complements this pick quite well? A Jinx or something. So they do a lot of weird things when they get the pick they want. So that just gets banned away, and they go in for the first pick Braum.
Braum going to come in first up, so high priority. Does mean that Savoki not going to be playing the Trundle, which he does love, but Snake, they know exactly what they want. SOFM back on that Rek'Sai that we were talking about before, and Sivir being picked up in this first rotation. She's been rocketing towards the top of the priority for the AD carries. So Republic takes away LeBlanc immediately.
So I like this already from Game Talents. They know their strengths. The Braum fulfilling pretty much Savoki's role. He plays a really heavily disengaged role, and they actually might go for the Graves. This is something I've actually really wanted them to do. Too often do they go for triple melee compositions when they're going into a lot of kiteback, like Gragas, Azir. That can hurt, especially if you Gragas, Azir, Sivir. Already you're trying to question how they get that composition. But then when you go into a team that quite honestly can get kited out pretty easily, then you have no hope once you can't pretty much get the initial engage off. And of course, LeBlanc for Republic, that's his go-to pick. I like it from him. He's a playmaker. I
also think it's really, really cool to pick up the LeBlanc here at the same time, just because it denies Tank the ability to easily go towards Azir and have that Sivir-Azir combination for incredible teamfight ability, massive amounts of AoE wave clear, and Tank does so love to go there. Of course, Shen was not banned away this time as Tank, thinking about what he wants to take into this LeBlanc, blocks away the Victor. There's the Alistar for JZ. We've seen this lane work out very well. And in fact, these 3 champions in the Sivir Victor Alistar work out very well for the old Edward Gaming.
So we already got a solid teamfight comp. Alistar, amazing. He picks it into the Braum, so he doesn't even care about the fact that that's a bit of a poor matchup, hard time he's going to have in the lane. Because, of course, remember, experience differences now. On top of that, you just make do with what you have. You can get out of that lane however you want. If you want a lane swap, sure. If you want to take the standard lane, sure. Kind of shrug it off. They're playing it for the comp.
Well, you can see now, over the side of Game Talents, time for them to round out their composition. There's Lucian currently being hovered. Gimgoon considering going towards that Gnar. Grab another member in that front line. Does mean that Snake's relatively short-range composition could be relatively susceptible to that big Gnar ultimate as Savoki locks it away, and that is going to be Pentacu's Lucian. So that's going to be your Game Talents team composition. And if they manage to utilize this effectively, imagine a Gnar into double distortion from Republic or into a collateral damage from Wushang. That is so much AoE.
Yeah, you can imagine the Wombo. The big point too is actually the laning phase. As they go for the Maokai. So right here, Game Talents have a lot of strong lanes. Strong mid, strong bot, strong top lane, and their jungle matchup is actually, they can even Graves can even look to invade as well.
Yeah, especially early on before Rek'Sai gets too tanky.
Yeah, so I really like Game Talents' early game. I do think that Snake would like to lane swap. But with that being said, regardless of that, great team fight from them.
Yeah. Well, this is exactly right. And Snake were always known as the lane swapping team, but very recently they have certainly not been doing that. So we'll see whether they opt in for standard lanes like they have been so far up until this game, or whether they go back to their roots, because this does look like a lane swap comp with Maokai there. Doesn't really care about picking up farm. He's okay with just getting to that level 6 mark slowly and then offering his team fight assistance. And Martin and JZ will then be able to dodge out of the way of the Lucian Braum lane, which is so difficult to deal with.
Yeah, and I don't want to build it up too much because I think that even if they take the standard lanes, it's just as fine. So we'll see how it works out.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes as coaches do shake hands. Let's get into game number 1 between Snake and Game Talents. Thank you very much, PentaQ, and here we are onto the Rift for game number 1 between GT and Snake. First dragon going to be that coveted Infernal Drake as well.
Yeah, ignore what I said about the lane swap.
All right.
You definitely want that dragon. Don't want to give it away, so they can keep the lanes. It works out just as fine. It will take them some time to scale up.
Boomerang finds both members of Game Talents. Jay-Z moves his way out. No vision to be gained by this support. Still just waiting off to the side. Nice Gromp ward comes in from Savoki. Make sure they see exactly where the Rek'Sai is going to be.
Deathfire Touch from Victor. I don't really have a preference on that one. So that's going to be something to look forward to later on in the game where maybe he does more damage than he would have if he had...
Yeah, I feel like late game, like poking Death Rays would work out very effectively with Deathfire Touch.
Yeah. So that's
but the
nice
early game damage not going to be there.
Exactly. So he's not going to be looking to trade all too well into LeBlanc. It was already a good laning phase for LeBlanc, as it looks like they look for the lane swap. Okay.
It's happening. Old
it's
school
happening.
Snake.
I like this. I mean, I did before I saw the Fire Dragon, so they better have a good pace early on in the game. They don't want to give that off to Game Talents for free.
I think this is really cute, though. You can see it. SOFM starting on his Wolf Camp with the help of Flandre. Actually going to move off it immediately. They just take the 2 little wolves. Savoki pressures them towards the other side of the jungle.
Yeah, and the lane swap
actually caught out by Jay-Z.
Okay. Lane swaps have been kind of changing quite a bit. Oh, actually. Cheeky auto. But yeah, the lane swaps can changing a little bit. They're now bringing their 80 carries back into the fray of helping push away the jungler. If you have a melee matchup, right? Okay, well. Okay.
Tank. That Sentinel's got to calm down.
Yeah, relax for a second, Sentinel.
What's he doing? As everyone's moving into this jungle, did SOFM actually manage to steal that one away? He did. Just nicks it. Immediately Snake towards the top side of the map. Just say, well, if you're going to deny our blue side jungle, we're also going to deny yours. So Wushang relegated to his red side.
Yeah, so it looks like, yeah, they don't get any, I'm talking about Snake. They don't get any of the camps on their side, their blue side. So they're able to at least get that blue, push them out a little bit. Wushang should be at a decent advantage here.
Now we do have Rift Scuttler falling down towards the top side of the map. Nice chain lands as Tank is actually going to get snared up by that one as well. So answering damage coming in, but Republic still eating through these potions. Snake, bring that minion wave up. Look to clear this one out. They are ahead in that laning phase for the moment. As far as taking down that turret is concerned. We'll see how this lane swap does shake out as, oh god, Republic. Okay.
All right.
This is a nightmare though.
Scrap what I said about the early laning phase. That's just a bit disgusting.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Tank playing it out beautifully as the back has to come in from Republic. So now an opportunity for Tank to get himself some free CS. Try and deny what he can as Gimgoon going to be given sole responsibility of headbutting this turret to death as he hits into Meganar form. And
yeah, this might work out really well for Snake. They're able to head right back to the bottom lane. Their pace was fast enough so that they didn't give a Game Talents a free Fire Drake. Perhaps now that they have the faster pace, they can look to threaten that of their own. But nice from Wushang. He was able to get the Scuttle Crab there. So they do know if they look for it. If
yeah.
Snake looks for it.
Especially in the next minute or so, as Wolf Spirit going to be nabbed for SOFM, actually denies the camp there as well. You can see back came in from Tank, grabs himself a Negatron Cloak just to deny any harassment coming down from Republic, but didn't have enough for the upgraded Hex Core, so not going to have that instant wave clear this early into the game. JZ, positioned aggressively, of course can at the moment, roaming around the map with that Sivir alone in the lane.
So this has been working out really well for Snake. Gold doesn't matter here, they're even, but of course you have the Sivir Alistair, you avoided the lane, you secured positioning on the Dragon right now. They're at a place where pretty much their composition is pretty relevant. They, Game Talents kind of has to watch out here. They want to abuse the specific matchups, so maybe they still have a chance if they a match after this. But yeah, they gotta watch out. This is a little bit scary if Snake, especially if they look for Dragon after this, right?
Yeah. Actually going to bring SOFM in here towards the bottom side of the map as well to help take down this turret. So they knew that they were behind, but evening that one out, knowing that they didn't have the biggest minion wave, and the next one is a long way away.
Not too sure if they're behind, but now Wushuang does have to help.
Yeah, and they actually do have to tank this one up potentially as well as GT run out of minions. Same thing happens on the bottom side of the map. Benny Hill music, please cue it as the next wave does eventually land, and Snake will be able to take this one down. Gimgoon grabs his as well, but doesn't need the help of the rest of his team, so they will be able to go back earlier. Game Talents get a little bit of tempo back in their favor.
So that looked a little messy. They just brought in their junglers pretty much. Snake initiated the idea. So if they bring in their jungler, if they end the pacing a lot faster, they can go back to Dragon. Or even if they just matched evenly, then it would have been pretty bad for Game Town. So they brought in Wushuang as well to help out in that push. So no time awarded to anybody. Pretty much even, both sides. So now they're evenly cycling around that Dragon.
Well, Tank throws down the Chaos Storm. Of course, as it moves further away from him, doesn't move as quickly. So Republic gets out just fine. Wushuang clearing out vision.
Yeah,
Republic's passive now down.
Might be on Wushuang's favor since he can actually clear vision a lot easier since he is ranged.
JZ is making his way in. Tank has the Ignite ticking down as there's the flash headbutt Pulv, but Republic flashes his way out. Not a lot of mana, so no response, but that's a big summoner spell now burnt. Doesn't have his flash. Tank still has his, but no heal. That's
great for Snake, honestly. The fact that that Game Talents' playmaker and LeBlanc does not have flash, that will save Tank quite a bit in that lane. Tank was already doing quite well for himself, but now that Republic has reached 6, he doesn't have to really worry about getting poked out or killed, I mean.
Yeah, this is really interesting from Wushuang as well. Already with those Berserker's Greaves built up on this Graves. It's going to help him clear things out quickly, and 37 to 31 doing well as PentaQ gets exhausted after the headbutt Pulverize. JZ trying to help out. Nice trade there from Snake. Still behind.
See, this is my favorite part of a laning yeah, this is great. So this is my favorite part of lane swaps where both towers are down, and now it's up to the junglers. You just focus on what they're looking to do, right? So sometimes you'll see them matching.
Oh no, Republic.
That's a little sad.
Yeah,
hang your head in
too
shame.
Much damage.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the fact that Wushuang and SOFM met each other in the top lane meant that both of their top laners were safe, right? If Wushuang was bot side helping out, or if SOFM was bot side looking for a play, then that actually would have meant that either top laner would have been really in a bad position. So they're just supporting their laners, specifically their top laner. If you're a Gnar is a good matchup into Maokai, but if you ever fall behind, you just get bullied at that point.
Can't get anything done as now Republic. No flash. Does have distortion though. Flandre makes his way in. SOFM clearing that pink ward vision, and Savoki gets knocked up by the Rek'Sai. Red buff's there. Does stand behind Wushuang. Get some good end of the line damage onto Flandre and SOFM.
Right,
Snake bullying them out.
They should be happy about this. Snake right now should be taking what they have, head right towards Dragon, take it for free. Savoki does not have the HP. Oh, they're just taking free damage right now.
Yeah, that's not good news.
Yeah, they should just peel back towards Dragon, I think.
Well, in goes SOFM. He's actually looking for a potential knock-up to start things off, but doesn't find it on the Savoki. They really want to pick to start off this Dragon, but don't really get there.
Yeah, so it forces Nar to have to push out his lane, but at the same time, Maokai's at a pretty big deficit. I think they should have looked for that play, but they did a lot of stalling. They couldn't get what they were looking for. It makes Maokai feel a little bit sad because now, since they didn't get the play, he's walking straight back into that matchup. He's meeting a big wave, but still at a deficit.
Yeah. Well, you can see it's actually Gimgoon heading back to base. Knows that he's relatively overextended. I like the cautious play out of the Gnar. SOFM with his Barmy Cinder didn't have enough money for that Tiamat when he first went back. Seen SOFM do interesting things with his builds when it comes to that Tiamat as well. Has actually sold it in the past in games that he hasn't felt as comfortable on.
Yeah.
And decided to go full tank as well. Game Talent start this one off. They are in full vision of Snake. As SOFM's level 8 can actually get back to one of these tunnels closer to the Dragon Pit, but it looks like they're going to give this one up. Yeah, don't want to use Flandre's teleport.
It's free for them, mostly because Game Talents is playing this smart. So they just like completely shove out these waves. If Snake reacts, if Snake looks to respond and pick that fight, they're definitely going to lose 2 waves topside. Or at least bot side. So it's smart from Snake had to kind of give it up, or at least they would have really been in a bit of a deficit. But they just don't want to find themselves in this position.
Well, Tank giving a lot of respect to the fact that Wusheng is not known on this map at the moment. Hyperproc comes through. Nice arcane smash from Flandre as Mega Gnar is achieved from Gimgoon. But of course, Flandre was able to even out that farm very nicely. Will get himself back to base, and we'll see what items he's going to pick up next. Looks like Sunfire Cape will be the first option.
Yeah, this is Game Talents' game. They like to play that slow, early game, get themselves in that position so where they can start forcing these objectives. They already have one. They can get another one now where now Snake has to respond, and it'll put Tank in an awkward position, especially if he's a melee mage and Victor. If he ever has to walk up to Republic, who has his flashback up.
Yeah.
Wusheng, Gimgoon, that's too much. Like, he needs a lot of protection, maybe too much.
Well, you can see they're actually laning very, very effectively here as far as damage dealers for Snake are concerned. Tank ahead, Martin ahead, even on CS. In fact, their opponents also very even. As Martin actually switching things over. Nice spell shield. Knocks down the Q.
Okay.
It's just holding onto this one for a moment.
Yeah, they're just holding the wave. At this point, Rift Herald, you have to ask yourself which team's going to prioritize it. Definitely Game Talents. They have the Gnar. If he ever gets the extra power, then he'll take it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's going to be a really good pickup for them if they ever shove out. It's good. It's a good idea since they are shoving out that top side. Okay. That was, yeah. Oh, I thought he used Flash for a second. But yeah, if they ever shove out that top side, it's great that they put their dual lane up there. It gives them the opportunity to peel back and look for that Rift Herald.
Oh, wow. Probably taking a lot of damage.
It hasn't been a good matchup for Republic so far.
No, Tank's playing it out very, very nicely. Little sploochies from the Tremor Sense, helping SOFM discover that Republic's heading over to try and grab this blue buff, but it means that they have some spare time here on this turret. Republic picks up his blue, and Tank is going to back away, but that's a lot of minions denied as Pentakill and Savoki turn up.
A lot of chip damage, too, on that mid-tower. So if Snake ever puts themselves in a position where Sivir shoves out that top lane by quite a bit, so someone has to answer it, then they can get that mid-tower for free.
Well, Flandre is making his way over. They were trying to steal away this red buff, but GT with so much respect for Snake right now. Understand exactly where they are. SOFM says, no, Martin, not this early. I'm taking this one down. Actually has his Cinderhole completed as well as a Sightstone, so not going for that Tiamat early. Different back timings, working out differently here for this guy.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying that there's a lot of respect from both teams here. No one really looking to make the play. Whenever they extend out, they help their strength rather than looking for a play. Like, for instance, Snake putting Flandre in a position where, yeah, he's losing out in this matchup. they're not really putting much into helping him, making a play so he probably gets an advantage. But they recognize that that could be too much of a risk. So that's Snake honestly evolving, not cutting those corners. So if Flandre finds himself in a deficit, well, they're just going to play to their strengths, maybe get an advantage there.
Well, it seems to be working so far as SOFM doing SOFM things. 80 CS to 57 right now, after he was falling a little bit behind in the early game.
Yeah.
Now looking to try and clear out this red buff. We'll see whether we can get it. Nope. Wushang just going to smite that one away. And now Snake setting themselves up for this outer turret in the mid lane. SOFM getting over there. There's the Chaos Storm just zoning everyone from GT out. Savoki wants to hold on to this turret. There's the headbutt Pulverize, and Martin, only one more auto attack would have been necessary. Nice spell shield. He does have the health bar in order to get this one down. So Snake, brute force, take down the outer turret.
Yeah, Snake playing this a little better. The earlier chip damage that Game Talents gave Snake by just pretty much taking blue buff, right? These are just small details, but these small details are kind of snowballing into bigger and better things where, yeah, they say that, hey, you know, you're taking blue buff, I'm going to chip this tower down. Okay, you're going back to base, we're going to shove out this top lane. And so once you start to answer this top lane, we're going to walk over mid. They're putting Game Talents in a position where maybe they don't even know how they're falling this far behind.
Yeah.
Some players are probably like, well, how did you lose that mid turret? Like, what happened? And it really just comes down to communication, because if one person doesn't talk, if Republic doesn't make it known that he's losing a lot of damage and he's getting pushed in quite a bit because of the pressure that Snake as a team, not just Tank, are putting in on him, then there's a disconnect. Like PentaQ has the priority and is, oh, here we go.
Yeah, Wushang actually going to get caught out. Does use his dash as JZ gets a nice pulverize, but doesn't land it onto Wushang. Martin over the side here does have on the hunt if they want it. As Winter's Bite connects onto the Sivir. Back comes in from PentaQ, wants to get his next item as Dragon is going to be up in 3 seconds time. Ocean Drake now spawning. We'll see whether Snake give that one away also. Whether they want to contest for it.
But yeah, if PentaQ ever gets a push in his lane, or if Wushang ever finds himself, because he's a Graves too, he can actually help quite a bit in terms of whenever, like, helping out his lanes, right? A lot easier than SOFM can. So honestly, it just comes down to Snake being just a little bit ahead in almost every aspect.
Apart from these dragons, which now they're trying to get themselves in on, don't have a Rek'Sai, so this dragon's going to fall to the wayside as well. Next one's going to be the Infernal Drake. They don't want GT to have two. Snake still have the gold lead, but just have been unable to get in position for these dragons.
Yeah, Game Talent's putting a lot of focus on these dragons. The Fire Dragon's nice. The Ocean Dragon. There we go. Words are a mystery to me. But the Ocean Dragon, as nice as it is, it's not really that influential in their composition, right?
Yeah.
Usually is for Game Talents, because they're a team that likes to disengage, re-engage, right? Look to flank. They're always kind of like elongating a fight, so that kind of should theoretically work for them. But in this composition, it could still work, but
not so much.
Yeah, not as helpful.
Well, now you can see item spikes are coming in. We got the Essence Reaver completed for Martin. Abyssal Scepter there for Tank as well, as Republic's going to go relatively aggressive on him. Fires the Mimic Distortion, but doesn't get the chains. Abyssal Scepter helping Tank a lot as far as nullifying this damage. Flandre now looking for his Frozen Heart after that Sunfire cape is done. And now evened out the farm here as well towards the bottom side of the map. Martin doing the same thing.
So last set, we saw what a Sivir can do later on in the game. We saw what a Sivir can do. We saw what a Victor can do. We saw how much a Maokai can tank, especially an Alistar. So I'm not too convinced of how slow of a pace Game Talents is playing at. Maybe it's just not up to them at this point, but they need to find a play. They're being pushed around, and even though they got these dragons, I'm not too certain they can even look for a fight for the next dragon, right? The moment Snake decides they're going to contest, it might be too late for Game Talents to pretty much get a lead.
Well, Chaos Storm goes down. They're looking for the kill under Republic, but Tank doesn't quite have the damage just yet. There's the on the hunt, though, as GT are looking for the fight. Nice headbutt from JZ to try and disengage as the flash comes in from Martin. Tank also able to get himself out of the way. Gimgoon does have the flash available, wants to try and get the flash now. SOFM farming his Raptor camp, doesn't care about the team fight whatsoever. Game Talents now move forward with a little bit more gusto towards this outer turret in the mid lane that has not been touched yet.
Yeah, they had to break that tempo somehow, right? Or else they would have been tooled around the map convincingly. That was their moment.
In goes the ultimate there as well from Savoki as Flandre just trying to nullify any AoE. Oh, a little bit half-hearted from this GT roster.
But yeah, that was their moment, and they didn't get it. So
At
least they pushed them off. That's a consolation prize, if anything. Maybe even get a bit of chip on this mid tower, but they have to start moving. Biggest thing is they need to start forcing these lanes. If Lucian is going to be getting as much of a dueling stat as he is right now, he needs to start looking for, or at least forcing Sivir to answer to these side waves. You got to start doing it, or else Snake is just going to constantly look to shove and rotate back mid and force you to really start to pretty much play reactively through and through.
Well, here's what they've been doing this entire game. Apart from the Dragons, it has been all about Snake, who's got themselves a 2,000 gold lead just from moving better around this map. Of course, no first blood yet at 20 minutes into the game. It's actually a huge deal. As you can see, Martin, that boomerang doing a lot of damage. He went second item BF sword.
Yeah.
And actually has a lot of poke now with that boomerang, given the flat AD stat here very early in the game.
That's true. And you said it pretty much. No kills, no, like, 20 minutes into the game, 0 kills, and it feels like Snake is just kind of like just powering them, right?
Yeah.
And so if you have a LeBlanc, if you have the Gnar, you have to be looking for it. You have to be looking for those plays, because if Snake just is allowed to get to this point of the game, maybe 10 minutes later, let's just say 40 minutes into the game, 0 kills comes out. That is something you shouldn't be happy about as Game Talents.
Yeah.
You don't want to be going up against these champions, this composition, with actually haven't making much of an effort to like deal with it.
You can see it's actually Flandre answering that top wave push. PentaQ getting himself a bit of an advantage here as far as farm against Martin, who was sitting in the mid lane trying to clear things out. Want to make sure that the tree can get to his tanky stats as quickly as possible. Wushang has done well, get himself back up in farm. Only 20 behind now as opposed to the 40 that it was before. Still relatively large statistic as Tank keeps himself alive, dodges out of the way of a lot of the abilities from Republic, and big shout out to Tank as he gets aggressed on. Doesn't take too much damage because he's been playing this laning phase phenomenally well as Savoki. There's the headbutt, pulverized, caught out of position, everything thrown down, and first blood goes to SOFM. Teleport comes in from Flandre. They've got 45 seconds on the Dragon. A little bit unnecessary as far as getting the Maokai in there, but if there was any re-engage, would have been able to help.
Yeah, you got to help him out at any point. The Dragon is coming up in 30 seconds. That was a great pick for them to get. And, of course, that was the first fight that we saw that ended up in a kill. So that was the first blood gold coming down to
SOFM.
SOFM. That's going to be great for him. They're going to be peeling back towards the Dragon here. So that's a really good win for them. Really solid.
There's, of course, going to be that Infernal Drake, as you just saw on your screen right there. Gimgoon up here towards the top side, but good wave positioning from Snake as Tank gets himself in the way of his minions. Not going to get hit by any Winter's Bites or anything like that. And Martin continues to shove things forward. Wave clear, no problems here for Snake. As they move towards this Dragon. Want to get a fiery guy of their own. As Jay-Z waiting off to the side can get a potential flank in here as he's already setting himself up. Knows that there's vision. As SOFM, will he be able to lock it down? It's going to be the Sivir that gets in there as Flandre now stopping a whole host of this damage. Big Gnar into the wall as Tank takes down Wushang. And you can see all of this AoE working wonders for Snake. In goes Flandre as PentaQ's the one singled out. And he has to try and run away. Gimgoon now in Mini-Gnar. Gets the work done onto Tank as Republic gets in there. Misses the chains, however. And it's Gimgoon that's the big deal. Headbutt from Jay-Z. Republic looking to try and chase this one down. Gets the combo, picks up the kill, but it's only 2 alive on the side of GT, and they didn't get the Dragon.
Great response from them nonetheless. They can pretty much lose the Dragon. It's fine. They have 2 Dragons for their own. They just needed anything, something to get into the fight. And as we watch it again, So as you can see, Tank right now just needs to survive. He gets zoned away from Republic through and through, and it just feels like right now Tank needs his front line to come in, and Flandre does a really good job pretty much of just getting on PentaQ, being that frontliner that they needed. But Gimgoon comes back because something that Flandre does do quite often is he over chases alone.
Yeah.
And so the fact that he left his back line to pretty much just die to Gnar and LeBlanc gave Game Talents the opportunity to pretty much take it again.
Yeah, it was looking good. As you can see now, Game Talent's looking to take away this red buff as collateral damage secures it. Wanted to make sure he could lock that one down. Having a look at the damage, Gimgoon did a lot of work. Big Gnar to start things off, just wasn't quite enough to topple the team fight in their favor decisively.
Yeah, Flandre died. I'm not too sure how. He probably... I commented on how he over-chased. I want to find out how far he chased.
I believe he's dead in the mid lane there as well, so he was trying to defend that outer turret.
Okay.
Then got caught and killed. I think that might be the riddle.
But yeah, that's the fight Game Talents needed. So that was some movement, some life in them. LeBlanc right now has a Rabadon's Death Cat, quite a lot of AP, honestly.
Yeah,
so even
wow.
putting Victor on the side lane may not be the smartest thing, because right now Lucian can pretty much shove up this mid lane wherever he wants, and if they can get into a 1-3-1, though it might be risky because LeBlanc did take Ignite. A lot of LeBlancs lately have been taking Teleport.
Yeah. One thing I do really, really like is Martin's build path. So he's gone for that second item Infinity Edge, wanting to equal out the 2-item power spike that PentaQ has. I mean, this is 50% crit with massive crit damage. And although he's missing that extra 30% that you do pick up from the likes of the Phantom Dancer or the Rapid Fire Cannon or the Static Shiv, whatever you want to get, he's still doing the damage required to try and answer what PentaQ has available to him.
Yeah.
I think it's cool.
Exactly. And so that's been really good. That's really strong from him. I like the adaptation, though. You know, picking up a Phantom Dancer doesn't hurt. The attack speed definitely does mean a lot. But, of course, crits.
Yeah. I guess you already get attack speed on your Ricochet via the passive on your ultimate.
Yeah.
So theoretically, I mean, you want to be getting those backline crits. I like it for that reason.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, the attack speed is going to be important.
So right now, Game Talents has kind of taken the game a little bit back. What they should be doing, and I think what they're going to be doing right now, since they have Gnar shoving up this lane, just pretty much answering. He should just be pretty much pressuring bot side. I think he's going to be looking to do that. He has the Frozen Mallet, Randuin's Omen. He's built for team fights, but at the same... It's a bit of a mix. He's built for team fights for the Randuin's Omen, but at the same time, if he ever finds Flandre, he's going to whack him a bit.
Oh my goodness. Snake have started off this Baron. Vision being cleared out by GT as there's the engage. JZ gets the headbutt pulverized. Teleport's coming in from Flandre as well as no one's dead just yet. Republic distorts his way over as you can see Savoki tanking this Chaos Storm. Gimgoon in Meganar looking for the Gnar into the wall as Tank's going to get stunned. PentaQ grabs that kill as Gimgoon now gets himself on top of Martin. Nice flash gets himself to relative safety, but it's not, as it is going to be PentaQ grabbing the extra kill, and he's just dancing around this fight. GT, find the team fight.
Snake gets a little bit impatient. They looked for the fight. That's why they looked for the Baron, right? They wanted to get that fight. They got what they wanted. But of course, Tank, if you miss position for a second, gets blown up.
The lack of respect to a lot of these Gnar picks that we've been seeing in the LPL is actually really dangerous.
Yeah, a lot of mobility, and this is what I like from Game Talents. They're a team that they don't play complete disengage. They like to pick their fights. So they'll go in, come out, dash out pretty much whenever they want you. They make you really work for those team fights. Make you fear the LeBlanc, fear the Lucian who can pretty much engage or disengage whenever he wants. So that's really powerful. And of course, Gimgoon playing a really strong force right here in these fights. The Randuin's Omen is doing quite a bit because remember, we have a lot of crit. And oh, look at that team gold difference on that one.
Yeah, the gold is going to come all the way back around as Game Talents answer that big dip that Snake were able to provide for themselves.
But yeah, the crit that Sivir built up, he recognized it. He must have seen it and went straight for that Randuin's Omen and is able to just face tank Sivir and be that front line that they need to allow Republic, PentaQ, Wu Shuang to pretty much do their damage.
Yeah, and actually, I really like it just because you are going to be getting right in amongst it as Mega Gnar as well, so you can get that massive stun with your ultimate, but if you don't stun them, you can then slow them all. This second Ocean Drake is going to go to Game Talents.
Now, this is when you really start to fear the Ocean Dragon, because that's the second one. If it was a third one, that would be even worse, obviously, but with this playstyle, they like to disengage, re-engage, look to flank, right? They just control the team fights, elongate them. That works really well for these the Ocean Dragon. Like, that's what the Ocean Dragon's great for. So if Snake looks to fight, they have to end the fight or disengage entirely.
Well, speaking of Snake fighting, in goes SOFM as he tunnels his way under. The ultimate comes out from Savoki as they do tag up SOFM. Wushang gets a couple of cheeky autos in, but Snake decide to disengage. Gimgoon's here for the flank. Does have his Guardian Angel already. This is so frightening.
Yeah. And so right now, Snake is feeling a little bit, I don't want to say ill-tempered, but definitely impatient. They're just using Silver ulti, pretty much trying to brute force anything they can get. But of course, you're going up against Braum, you're going up against Lucian, LeBlanc. Like, all of these champions can disengage with ease. They can pick the fights that they want. So if they want to fight, they got to work for it. Get the flank going with Flandre, or even just Jiezo. Like, anything you can, like, anything works. But if they can't get the position, then they won't get the proper fight.
Well, Martin, you can see it, headed towards the top side. Solidifies his CS advantage even further. That instantaneous wave clear. Snake, if GT do get on the front foot, absolutely fine.
But yeah, this kind of goes back to the point we made earlier. Snake has they have good intent. Not only just intent, but obviously they have the right ideas.
Like Snake are good in theory.
Yeah. Like, the theory around everything works out. They outplay, they get the proper, like, lane assignments, everything kind of makes sense. And then they get to a point, and if that goal difference shows a lot because they made a lot of impatient plays, and it really backfired on them.
Yeah. And now they've got a Gnar with a Guardian Angel to deal with. As Gimgoon has 100% kill participation in this game. I mean, really, really frightening stuff. Not to mention Republic with his 3-item spike of that Void Staff on top of that Morellonomicon Rabidance that he already had. This is a really scary Game Talents roster with these item spikes that they currently hit.
Yeah, and so right now they're hovering around Baron. They're getting these shoves in. Like, Game Talents right now has a lot of shove coming in mid and bottom. So with Gnar having TP, you know that Maokai's... But you know that Maokai is going to be answering that bot tower. So that's the proper time to look for this Baron control and possibly even start it, because it looks like they can fight.
Well, Gimgoon also knows that if Tank moves over towards this blue buff, it could be just Baron time for Game Talents, so we'll be able to steal that one away. What I was going ooh about was the Runan's Hurricane pickup for Martin.
All right, yeah.
Thinking about the fact that Game Talents have a relatively low-range composition, I guess, as far as things that he needs to avoid. I think it's a bit cute.
I don't buy it. Mostly because I feel like Phantom Dancer or...
He's already doing enough AoE as it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good point.
So, stack up the crit.
Has more attack speed, though. No, I think you're right. In theory.
In theory.
Also we always come back to it. The Republic clearing out the mid lane. Uses his Mimic.
Game Talents really have to start pushing the button. Right now, they're looking to back probably to... It better be a hefty purchase because... And technically, it's all right.
Yeah, look, Dominic's regard.
Yeah, so that's fine. But they need to... They have the pressure within their lanes. They're pushing up mid properly. Snake is starting to having to answer them, right? Responding to them. That's a little bit uncharacteristic, but that's just been... That's showcasing... Game Talents is playing this out pretty well, but because they're backs, they do give up a bit of vision. So I think they should just look to press the button, look to force these split push opportunities, and just, you know, look to bait on Baron.
Well, you can see Flandre is actually making his way over as Martin heads back up towards the top side of the map. Oh, look at that sweet Runan's Hurricane on Sivir. There it is. There's the money.
It looks good. Visually, it looks all right.
Yeah.
Still don't agree with it.
Well, once again, waves are going to be pushing forward towards the top side of the map for Snake. Tank, of course, able to clear out the mid lane very effectively. Gimgoon once again splitting on the bottom side of the map. Flandre back there to answer. This feels like a stalemate right now.
And it's simply because Game Towns are having poor back timings. They're not backing at proper times together. They're saying, you know what, actually I have something to buy. Or actually, you know, every single one of them are coming to a point where they have tempo. They're losing it. They have, like, right here, as I'm saying that, SOFM is taking out the vision in that side of the mid lane. They need to start pressuring when they have a lead.
All right, now they do at least have vision, sole vision around this Baron. I think there's a ward in the back of the pit for SOFM that he managed to put down. Does have his upgraded Sightstone there as well. The Ruby variety will have a lot of Randuins to pop in these next fights. 20% cooldown reduction on activatable items is a big deal. Now going for his GA. And actually Tank deciding to go for something with this needlessly large rod as they're having a big battle over the Raptor, but
that was a
doesn't find it.
Whole lot of nothing for these ultis being expended. You can see that from how PentaQ getting demolished from that crit coming from Sivir.
Yeah,
and that's the thing with Sivir is that even though I disagree with her item choice, she has just as enough crit. Doesn't really matter who you are. I mean, it does if you're a Sivir. It doesn't matter what you build as long as you have a lot of crit. You can just pretty much duel anyone who comes straight towards you.
Does item have crit? Yes. Good item on Sivir. No problem.
Old Trinity Force? No. I mean, that would be nice, but now we're in a critless Trinity Force reality.
I feel like if Renan's Hurricane worked differently with your Ricochet, and from if you activate your Ricochet, that every bullet from the Renan's Hurricane was to shoot out Ricochets.
See, they already made a few exceptions with Sivir in giving her crits, her Ricochet crits. That's already too much for me. I already like the old Sivir that.
I feel like it's in the same vein as Vayne getting the silver bolts.
Oh, right.
With the Renan's Hurricane. That would also be a little bit repugnant. So
That'd be
of course,
a bit much.
Unable to happen.
Yeah. So, man, I felt like Sivir was such a good champion before, and I mean she's still good. I'm not hating on her. I'm just saying that had a lot of even has negative sides in it. Oh, actually, okay. But yeah, she had great strengths in her team fighting, and she could not duel, and that's fine. I was fine with that. That's a good, trade-off. And now she's better than Kog'Maw. so I don't know. A bit too strong.
A little bit silly at the moment. Snake currently holding on to about a 400 gold lead. GT clear out all of the vision around the Baron. Remember, Rek'Sai still exists. Those Sploochies able to do some work as he tunnels his way over. Wants to avoid too much damage from this LeBlanc. Of course, Republic doesn't want to necessarily all in for the kill or anything like that, but the lower he can get SOFM, the better it is.
So SOFM...
He has a...
Yep. He
does.
Zeroth portal. He does have a Zeroth portal. Is that SOFM? I'm not too sure anymore. Is that Beast? Real SOFM would have built straight damage. But we've just got someone who's... Oh, actually, it looks like...
Flandre potentially caught out of position. Uses the ultimate there as well as SOFM getting in over the side. Flandre just getting out of there. Understands that his team not in a position to help him out. And is going to back. We'll see whether this spells Baron for GT.
Please.
Whether Flandre is going to teleport his way in. Doesn't have Flash Twisted Advance though, but here goes the Baron.
I'm just hoping that Game Talents...
Oh, wait. SOFM. Oh, the chains don't land from Republic. And he's still there. In goes Snake, and we'll see whether they can actually get in here before that Baron falls down. It is secured by Wushang, but the fight now has broken out. Savoki, not going to be able to avoid it. Really good headbutt pulverize, and Pentagu's going to die. It's a double kill for Tank as Flandre falls down incredibly low, but Wushang right in there. Tank flashes at exactly the right time as Martin. Spell Shield not going to be there doing enough. As in goes SOFM. The chains land, and he is actually going to fall down, but Martin's there with the damage. SOFM still alive! Oh my god, Wushang now the last man standing, and Gimgoon, the boomerang comes in, doesn't hit him, and once again, 2 people left after all is said and done, but the Baron buff, of course, on 2 now of GT.
So yeah, that was a net gain for GT. Biggest point of that fight, we're going to definitely look at it, but Martin was just, yeah, he didn't do as much damage. Look at the LeBlanc damage. This is what's amazing about Republic is that he builds straight damage, and usually you say, you know what, LeBlanc is not that good in team fights. He plays it incredibly in team fights.
Yeah.
He goes in and out. He threatens the backline. The reason why Sivir did not have that much damage in those fights because she was doing a whole lot of pacing back and forth. Did not trust being able to walk in. And that's honestly, I honestly would say that Martin did not play that fight well. If that was a Uzi, if that was anybody, they would have gone straight deep with their Alistar. Because Yezo played that combo extremely well, right? He came in, he created a lot of force, a lot of tank lines, walked up, and Martin just was not in the play.
Yeah, wasn't there with him. Has his mortal reminder now, so can go towards some sort of defensive option. Probably will be something like that QSS to come out next. After that fight, Tank built up his Rabbidan's Death Cap, but doesn't have a Void Staff yet. Will be his 6th item. Now 5 members of GT hanging around this Elder Drake. And a big minion wave towards the top side of the map, but no one from Snake is able to go up there and answer, apart from SOFM, who does, of course, have that Void Rush. So good choice from Snake. Make sure that they can still answer this.
Yeah, I mean, if he had the other build, which is a lot more Bruiser, the Tiamat.
Yeah, the Tiamat.
Yeah, so if he went that build, he would have been able to split push just fine, right? But he's just kind of answering to this wave because he really does have to. The wave's starting to crash right into his tower, so he's the response. I felt like he should have put in his, since he did build the Zerat's portal, place the top lane, and then have, you know, your Sivir pretty much wave clear mid. That would have been the best response. But, yeah, it looks like that's just not how they want to play it out.
Well, doesn't quite have his Zerat portal back up just yet, as it is taken down there in the mid lane. GT want to utilize this Baron pressure to try and take Elder Drake. Of course, doesn't really have all that much of an effectiveness. As SOFM makes his way back over, Elder Drake has been started, but GT know that it's going to be a 5 versus 5. Republic gets on top of Jay-Z, lots of damage. That Hourglass already built up as well, so a lot of extra safety. Down to half health. SOFM off to the side as Flandre gets himself in there, but he's getting taken down solo. Savoki knocked back into the gravity field as Republic dancing away very nicely. And Gimgoon getting his kite on already. Flandre and Jay-Z are dead. And Snake, only one frontline member left available. And they take down the Elder Drake. Really nicely played from GT. And Wushang is having the game of his life.
Yeah, Wushang is playing incredibly well. And Republic, on top of that, is zoning incredibly well. Entire team is trying to walk towards the narrow jungle path to see if they can steal or see if they can get a fight. And they were walking with Alistar, right? You walking with your tank line. But he's just chunking them.
Yeah.
So Republic right now is at a point where he can do no wrong.
Yeah.
So they get the Elder Dragon. I'm still not a fan of the Elder Dragon. I mean, it gives you a lot of combat stats, right? But
they use their whole Baron to take it, though.
That's true. See? Like, definitely better ways to use your Baron buff than get an Elder Dragon that will probably... You just evaporated that buff.
Yeah, I did.
But I feel like I'd be surprised if they get a fight with this Elder Dragon.
Well, Snake just looking to try and hold on to their structures here. Of course, inner turret in the mid lane is already down. No Cloud Drakes once again. So, of course, no extra movement speed for GT. There's Rock Portal thrown down in the mid lane just to make sure that these minion waves are thrown back. Morales procs. Wushang takes a fair bit of damage, and you can see, wow, these crits out of Martin. Big deal damage. Heal comes out. Death Ray comes in as well. It's Republic. Oh, my God.
He had to have shielded that. That was a perfect
shield. That was an incredible Savoki Locket of the Iron Solari shield.
Yeah, that was really good because remember, Victor does have Deathfire touch. At this point in the game, it definitely means quite a bit. You get burned by that, you will die.
And we saw that demonstrated right there. So Snake able to defend this push very nicely, but they're still 3,000 gold behind. GT solidifying the fact that they are winning this game, but that was a team that had an Elder Drake as well. Snake's still showing that they can still teamfight here.
Exactly, which, I mean, they were going up against a teamfight comp, so maybe they were winning teamfights, so maybe they felt confident that, you know, it doesn't matter what composition we're going up against. But they get burned, and the big point is that Victor needs to live. Oh, yeah. Victor needs to survive for Snake to pretty much win out in these team fights. LeBlanc right now, honestly, I'm surprised LeBlanc is able to live through these fights because Maokai needs to be with the team, and if Maokai's with the team, then LeBlanc has no way of being able to weave in and out of the fights. If she ever distorts in, you lock her down and you kill her, and you have a lot of kill threat in your team with Victor and Sivir. So there's no real reason for them to be losing team fights other than just pure execution, and that was just interesting.
Okay, yeah, Tank throws down a Chaos Storm casually.
So
that means the GT have some opportunities to try and get some siege on here.
Yeah. A lot of GAs coming through, so you really are banking on that first team fight. If they win through, then...
Yeah, so inner turret is going to be sacrificed here from Snake. They don't have their big buttons left. Snake, Tank, sorry, still about a third of that cooldown done on the Chaos Storm. As he heads back towards the mid lane. SOFM been extending quite far up here as the Tiamat is his last choice, knows that he's going to be splitting somewhat of this game. Takes a combo from Republic.
And
that's not like barely any magic resist as well. Has a little bit from the Zrop portal, but not enough.
And he's built the Tiamat rather late.
Yeah, Flandre actually forced to use that flash in order to get himself out. Big burst damage onto this Maokai, who's going to be backing one more time, once again without the flash. And the Baron has been started. I've seen this story.
Here we go.
And have Snake scaled enough to try and get this one done. Down to half health. As in goes the teleport. There's the big flash headbutt engage.
Oh,
but Jay-Z can't even use the ultimate as Martin gets knocked up. Flashes immediately as Gimgoon taking a lot of damage in the backline. GA not going to proc just yet. Deathfire Touch is going to get it. As PentaQ very, very low. Tank there as well, doing a lot of work. As Gimgoon gets back up. But the AoE, massively well done from Snake, because that was looking bad.
Yeah, Jay-Z did not expect that. If he did, he would have definitely used his Unbreakable Will.
Or his Face of the Mountain, you know, or a whole lot of other buttons.
Yes, something. But he thought he had something. He just went in for one combo and got eviscerated. So
excellent use of Eviscerated.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, so now it just comes... honestly, both teams can win out in these team fights. Both teams can. It really just comes down to how they execute it. Now, Maokai is the key, in my opinion, where he got picked off last time, right? Or at least he got really chunked down because he was mispositioning. He just needs to be walking with his team. Walk in. Just go full Protoss. Go in with the rest of your team. Let your backline do the work. Just lock down LeBlanc.
Well, there's the culling coming in as Flandre does still have his Guardian Angel. Big deal. Turret falls down in the mid lane. Of course, credit goes to SOFM because, hello, Zrop portal. And Snake get the inside track. Get themselves in here. They only need a few auto attacks as Wushang takes a lot of damage. Wow, already chunked out as the turret does fall down. Jay-Z throws down the ultimate this time. And the Chaos Storm's in there just ripping Savoki apart. PentaQ as well has to run. Snake get the dream fight and the dream movement on the map to lock down the inhibitor.
Yep, so they can win team fights if they can. But man, that... yeah, what is it? Oh, Jesus. Like, it's really good for them. They were able to hold game talents at this Baron for quite some time, and the minions did the work. There's a Rod's portal. Sticking mid, was able to just pretty much hammer down at this wave, hammer down at the turrets. Now they don't have an inhib.
Yeah. Oh, really nice scrying orb. Spots out Snake, standing on their Zrop portal. There's a big minion wave moving towards the top side of the map. We'll see whether Martin takes that one down. Of course, does have a full item build. Probably doesn't need to. Everyone, in fact, finishing off their items. Republic, so much AP. With that Luden's Echo also there. SOFM getting himself about as much farm as his top laner, who still needs to build an item. But he's the one with the wave clear. May as well be up there shoving things out as GT reposition around the Baron, and they're pinging out onto SOFM. Republic's going to get there. The ultimate comes off, and yeah, I don't think you're ever really going to be able to pick off a Rek'Sai.
They can try, though, and they kind of have to, because Rek'Sai at this point has quite a bit of combat stats with that So now he needs to... So, like, pretty much at this point, they need to shove Rek'Sai out of this side lane. Because right now they're getting pressured quite a bit mid. So if they have now a Rek'Sai just constantly looking top to just pretty much just take down these minions, look to threaten that tower, then it's bad news for Game Talents.
Well, speaking of bad news for Game Talents, Flandre is about to have his teleport back up. Good news for them, however, is that massive minion wave building on the bottom side of the map, where that last remaining inner turret is. So starting off this Baron, SOFM going to be there. It will be a 50-50. He's actually not going to move into the pit just yet. They could see it, but he just moved away. Now just going to tunnel his way under. Didn't go for the steal. As you can see, Republic gets himself right back into the backline as Flandre, his Guardian Angel, is going to be popped here. There's the headbutt. Gimgoon on top of SOFM as Tank's going to die. This is a disaster for Snake as Flandre's in there, tries to get it done but doesn't. Martin still at full health. Jay-Z there as well. But low health bars. Martin, now's your time to shine. Doesn't have on the hunt. And GT with another Baron buff. And a disastrous play from Snake.
Yeah, Snake needs to make a decision. You have the stronger team fight. Quit conceding these positions. And when you do, pick the fight. They have to. If they're going to give away Baron, then give away Baron. You don't want to just kind of like, okay, well, you got Baron, and now we're just kind of inch towards you and get picked off. That's just straight up indecisiveness.
Yeah.
So they have to believe, first and foremost, you have to believe that you have the stronger team fight. They've definitely had some very awkward engages. Like, there were a lot of moments where Gnar got that crucial ulti. Republic lived a little too long, right?
Yeah.
But they got to say, well, we didn't execute that properly. Let's go again. Or else you're just not playing a Snake gameplay. You're not playing aggressively as you usually do.
You can see now, Guardian Angel being switched out there for Tank. Sold his Abyssal Scepter. SOFM waiting on the bottom side of the map. As Game Talents, they might be getting these Barons, Raz, but they're not pushing any waves. They're in the mid lane right now, dealing with super creeps. SOFM's on the bottom side, just hanging out. Tank grabs himself a blue buff. It's like they get a Baron buff and then decide, let's set up for Elder Drake with
Oh, my goodness.
That's what we're doing.
That's definitely the right call. That's a bit of sarcasm. They're in a point where they need to, maybe they don't have faith, and maybe that comes down to that's the name of the game. Both teams, neither teams have a lot of faith in their team fight. But Game Talents, they secure this Elder Dragon, it looks like, and if Snake ever comes in through that corridor, they're going to get demolished. So give them Elder Dragon. Figure out what are they going to do with it, because honestly, I don't think Game Talents will make much of a move with it.
Yeah, and with that turret advantage that Snake will have in a siege scenario, we saw what happened last time they had an Elder Drake and tried to siege. Nothing. Weren't quite able to make that one happen. Now, Inhibitor about to respawn. Was the respite that Snake needed for the beginning of this Baron cycle, but next minion wave, not going to have that super creep in it.
Luckily, they still have half of the Baron left. They can use it quite well. Let's see. It really just does have to come down to this turret right here. They have Baron. They have their Elder Dragon.
Oh, there's the culling used onto Martin. Spell shields one of the bolts, but is able to get the wave clear in there in time. And this turret has taken... Oh, I'd probably put that down to approximately 0 damage.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to bulldoze one tower, and they're going up against Victor Sivir. So, if they had any... Oh, wait, maybe.
Yeah,
nah,
they're just
trying to be cute. It's not going to happen. And at least this time, they have Gnar topside. Now, they're probably going to lose Baron sometime soon, but with Gnar at least pressuring in the side tower here, they can start to force something.
You can see SOFM up here just trying to help out. Wave clear still in the mid lane. Flandre does have a fair bit of his own. Arcane Smash, pretty good AoE ability. There are the ricochets. Republic, doesn't get headbutted as the ultimate comes out from Jay-Z. Has to pay respect. There's a Chaos Storm right in there. But Tank can't find anyone with it. Doesn't do any damage. And there's double Ocean Drake, sitting on this team with an Elder Drake. They have so much regeneration.
Yeah, theoretically they can do this forever. They're chipping this mid tower down bit by bit.
No more Baron buff, though.
Bot wave's actually kind of, you know, building up quite a bit, so they could even work with that if they want to.
Martin has been popped here as Martin straight into a culling. Nice disengage from PentaQ. As now Snake understand that GT have backed away. We'll see whether they deal with that bottom minion wave, which, you're right, is becoming a little bit of a big deal. SOFM is, of course, going to grab it.
They put in all that hard work, and then Sivir auto attacks you. And it's just sad plays from there. So right now, as I said, Snake has to be confident. You got to go for these fights. It may seem nearly impossible because look at that build from LeBlanc. Rabadon's Deathcap, Luden's Echo.
Yeah.
Morello's, Zhonya's, and of course,
the Void Stuff plus GA.
That is A, that's full A, that's full build, and B, that's insanity. As you saw earlier, Jay-Z tried to engage on them, tried to lock them down, because Flandre sure isn't doing it, right?
Yeah.
But he tried and he failed with 70% of his HP getting blown away. So they need to watch out for him. He's going to be the reason why this team wins.
And I remember a season where a last team fight was dictated by the amount of Guardian Angels you had on your team. At the moment, Snake are winning. They have 4. Actually, no. They're even. It's only Wushang that needs to be able to pick up his. Wasn't looking at Savoki's cheeky early Guardian Angel pickup.
Yeah, the War of Guardian Angel. I think that's more influential for Snake. They have the team that, you know, Victor right now is a little bit afraid, justifiably so. Give him GA, give him a tank line with GA, and they shouldn't be afraid of basically putting their lives out there if it means just a single second of Victor and Sivir basically having free space.
Well, Snake looking for the flanking play. SOFM takes a lot of damage. Gimgoon has been chunked. Look at these crits coming out of Martin. They are some big numbers on the screen.
Yeah,
uses the spell shield. Inside track now gained from GT.
Snake just can't force the fight.
Remember, Snake are very slow as well because they're missing some boots on their Sivir.
Yeah.
In goes Gimgoon. There's the twisted advance. Chaos Storm goes down just to try and get him out of there as Flandre's pinged back into the team. Tank, however, is going to be okay. Chaos Storm did a lot of damage. SOFM tanking up the culling as Gimgoon now without his GA. Very, very low as Republic getting in there. Damage onto Flandre as Death Ray's in there. SOFM in the backline as Martin takes down Wushang. GT forced to run away from this fight. No on the hunt is there as Flandre flashes, gets the twisted advance onto Savoki and has that bought enough time for them as PentaQ right in amongst it, wants to get the auto attacks, but Martin, the autos are in there. Tank grabs Gimgoon, but Republic so incredibly low. Uses the Zonya's PentaQ kiting around, falls down immediately, and Savoki going to get headbutt pulverized. Finally, we get to the end of this game. The kills are even, the gold is even, but game talents are dead.
That's what they needed. Now they're barreling through this lane. They have the tanky champions, Maokai, Alistair. They have the wave. You have to believe that this is the game.
We have 1 minute death timers as well, Raz. If they can't kill these Nexus turrets in a minute, then they don't deserve to win the game. As Snake all collapse. These turrets are going to fall exceedingly fast. And after another marathon today, Snake on the red side are able to pick up the victory.
Well deserved, I guess. It was a bit messy, but if you're going up against Game Talents, you gotta expect a very, very annoying disengaged playstyle.
Yeah, exactly right. You can see Savoki actually communicating with his team right now. Gimgoon there, head in hand. But they have to be going into game number 2. Another marathon. And do you think this is a similar story to that of EDG versus Newbie? Just because this was a really, really long one. Game Talents, they had 2 Elder Drakes. They got all of the Barons that game.
Yeah.
Everything was on them to try and close that one out. It just flat out didn't happen.
Yeah, like these team fights were definitely the ones that dictated the pace. Now, Snake, oh my goodness. Look at Martin here. Martin is the key. He couldn't really get much damage off. Right here, he's pacing in and out. He doesn't know whether or not he should be able to engage. Gnar comes in, and of course, I understand if he ever gets blown out, that's the end of the team fight. But he needs to have some girth. Get in
presence.
there. Some now he's kind of putting in some damage, but that's too late. Your friends are dead. But they ended up actually winning that. Took a little bit too long. Could have been a lot more decisive.
He got hopped on after the GA came out.
And so, of course, these team fights pretty much share the same story, the same idea, where Tank is just out of position constantly as Victor. And if you can blow up Victor, then you should be able to win these fights out. But that just comes back to Tank being able to think a little bit carefully, right?
Yeah.
So it worked out in the end. He was able to survive. He got the GA too, so there's a little bit of insurance there. And they're able to just get these team fights going for them.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about these games today have just been that they've all been marathons. I mean, this was the team fight that Snake were able to solidify to take down the game. But at 60 minutes in,
yep,
every single time, I mean, we've been seeing like 40-minute victories, 38-minute victories around this time, but not today. Today, Group A are grinding this one out against each other. Of course, Newbies game number 2 wasn't the same, but game number 1 was. We'll see whether it's going to be a similar story as Snake take to the blue side of the map. Of course, EDG, winning on the red side, took a lot of power and a lot of grit to try and get it.
Yeah.
Then their blue side victory was pretty easy, whereas, you know, Snake starting out on the red side did look difficult for them. Game Talents brought it back, but now on the blue side, we'll see whether they can be as I guess, successful.
Yeah, so I think the big point is, I mean, Game Talents does this thing where they really are an annoying team, right?
Yeah.
They never really commit to any fight. It's a smart thing. I like that fact about them. But honestly, going up against them, especially if you're Snake, and this is why I really wanted to see this game, turned out a lot longer than I thought it would.
Yeah.
But I think that Game Talents does match up well against Snake because Snake is that aggressive team. They go in on you. They want to look for that fight when they have the opportunity. And Game Talents is like, actually.
Yeah, we'll just back on out of it and see what we can get. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to throw it to a short break. When we get back, we'll see whether Game Talents can get some revenge against Snake.